Hey, have you ever thought about eating someone? Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, okay? It's just you and me right now, so you can be honest, all right? Like, have you ever looked at someone's arm and was like, damn, that motherfucker looks kind of juicy? Hey, no judgment, okay? We are hardwired omnivores, dude. We got sharp canines. We have evolved to eat meat. Just, you know, not human meat. But if history has anything to say about it, we actually have eaten one another plenty of times. And you know what? Cannibalism is not that bad for you. It's actually kind of healthy for you. Except for, you know, the risk of getting a fatal degenerative disease, but, you know, still, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. But cannibalism is an act we dare not even think about. A topic so taboo, the mere mention of it has people regretting they were ever born so that they wouldn't have to hear about it. It's morally reprehensible, disgusting, and often a sign of a person's humanity being stripped away. In a very extreme kind of way, it's kind of like queerness. Hold on. I know that's crazy, but you clicked on this video with this title. I don't know what you were expecting. Crazy shit was gonna come out of my mouth, okay? But the way we view cannibalism as a society can also be compared to how ignorant people view queerness. If history has anything to say about it, we have been queer for a very long time. Queer people, we are born this way. Our brains are hardwired to being gay as shit. It's not an inherent health risk to be gay, but in the 1980s, being gay was seen as living a dangerous life for the mere risk of getting a fatal degenerative disease. Many people view it as morally reprehensible, disgusting, and a sign of a person no longer being human. Sure, you can make parallels between anything society deems other to a cannibal, and I do sound insane, but in fiction, cannibalism is very often used as an allegory for queerness. From Bones and All to Yellow Jackets to Hannibal, being shunned for craving the taboo desire of another human's flesh is very often used to represent repressive homoerotic thoughts in media. This, of course, leads us to the 30-minute traffic of our stage. Dead Plate, an indie horror restaurant sim by the studio Investigrave that explores the horrors of loving, being loved, and the absence of it that leads to a craving of more extreme lusts. So let's talk about the homoerotic cannibalistic subtext of Dead Plate. What is my job? What am I saying right now? Hey, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is E, as in écorché, I think, which is the word for a painting or sculpture of a human body without the skin to show the muscles underneath. Yeah, freaky. It's a very disturbing word for a very disturbing video. But that's because it's October and it's ooky spooky kooky month, so get into it. We're gonna be creepy and we're gonna be talking about cannibalism. And I'm so f***ing excited. So excited that I accidentally cosplayed one of those hot vampire ladies from Resident Evil. I'm not supposed to be a vampire, I'm supposed to be like a cannibal, but like with the ears, what's the difference at the end of the day? Really, truly. So shout out to my sisters in serving. You guys are hot, and I'm glad to stand amongst you. We recently played Dead Plate on stream if you would like to watch the VOD of it, and we're going to be streaming more often here on YouTube and on Twitch. So if there are more gay-ass scary games, then please let me know in the comments down below, because we will be gaming. And if you become possessed to want to help the channel even more, then you could become a member on the Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/EASocial to get some really cool benefits and to support the channel. So before we start talking about cannibalistic, homophobic homosexuals, let's pay the bills real fast. So in this video, we are talking about repressing queerness and the pain that occurs when that happens. It is an all too common and relatable experience that many of us face that can lead to challenges with your mental health. So with staying true to the topic of being kind to yourself for today's video, I am happy to say that BetterHelp is sponsoring this video. Okay, pause. As I've said in the past, there are a lot of rumors and misinformation circling around the company, which I also believed before I did more research. So I really encourage all of you to read the multiple resources I have gathered in the description down below and in the pinned comment. So I personally experienced BetterHelp in 2020, and they have actively changed my life, for real. Back then, I genuinely thought that everyone experienced what I was experiencing, and I was just like weaker at handling it. Turns out, no. I have a good deal of mental illness, and I credit my BetterHelp therapist with validating what I was experiencing and actually putting me onto the path at getting help. Since then, I have taken my mental health so much more seriously, and I wouldn't have even started if it wasn't for my BetterHelp therapist. And especially in times like these, mental health is something we really need to take seriously. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. BetterHelp connects you with a professional professional, licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. Meeting with your therapist is super flexible, as you can meet with them via messaging, video call, or phone call. One of the biggest hurdles in traditional therapy is finding a therapist you like. If you don't vibe with them, it is a nightmare to find another one. But with BetterHelp, finding the right therapist is made much easier. BetterHelp matches you with a vetted professional in as little as a couple of days after you answer a few questions on their website. And if you aren't vibing with that one, you can switch therapists until you find the right fit. This is the #1 reason why I recommend BetterHelp. They carefully vet every therapist on the platform, and with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, you can rest assured that BetterHelp is here to help. Starting is the hardest part. Let BetterHelp make it easier. So let's begin your mental health journey. Use my link, betterhelp.com/easocial, to get 10% off on your first month of therapy and to just get started. More information in the description. So for real, thank you BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Dead Plate is a short 2D restaurant tycoon-themed RPG horror game with visual novel and point-and-click elements set in 1960s France. The game is super duper short. It'll take you like an hour and a half to get one ending and up to 3 for getting all 4 endings. So if you are intrigued by the game's premise and you don't want to be spoiled, then I highly recommend going to itch.io to play the game and support the devs. The link is below. I think they are eating with their games, so go play it and then come back here because we have a lot to discuss. So come back here, okay? Thank you. But also a quick word of caution, the game is one of their earlier games, so it isn't perfect by any means, and the restaurant tycoon part of the game is genuinely so hard, but I still recommend it. It's fun. So if you are back from playing it or you don't mind spoilers, then let's start digging into Dead Plate. So to build on the synopsis, this game follows Roddy, who is just trying to make as much money as possible in a week to win his ex-girlfriend back. To do that, he gets hired at Le Gueule de Sauterne. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, French people. Which is like a bougie-ass bistro in France run by the young and highly acclaimed chef, Vincent Barbaneau. Sorry again. Who is quiet, often brooding, with dark circles under his eyes and a homosexual air about him. He runs a very tight ship and has very high standards for how his employees are supposed to act. So high that on day 4, if you walk into the kitchen, you will see him threaten the life of one of the chefs by putting his face right above an open flame, chastising him for ruining a recipe. The following day, a chef will be missing from the lineup. He got fired. Unfortunately, Vince did not kill him and eat him, which would have been but that's not part of the tea. Roddy sees this and just minds his damn business for the most part, serving incredibly difficult customers during the day and sleeping on his couch in his dingy apartment at night, calling his ex-girlfriend Manon, hoping she would pick up. And unfortunately, no, I do not mean Manon from Cat's Eye, though that is who I pictured throughout this whole damn game. Literally so gnarly. I can't say it in a hot way. Boo! The relationship between Roddy and Vince is honestly pretty weird. If you take out the trash on day 3, you will trigger a cutscene where Roddy will accidentally cut himself on something in the trash. Vince will slap him out of anger and then patch him up quickly afterwards. So, you know, just a little weird. As Roddy, you can talk to Vince a few times throughout your shifts and ask him questions like, can I get a raise? Can I take a break? And what Vince's favorite food is. You can even have Roddy ask Vince if he's single, which is wild work. POV, your overworked employee runs to you before the start of a crazy shift and asks if you're single, aka Homotron 9000. Throughout these questions and more, you will find out how Vincent sees the bistro as his life's work and purpose, that he is often reading reviews of his restaurant and that he is, in fact, single and finds petty romances a waste of his time. Most importantly, however, you will find out that this highly acclaimed chef does not have a sense of taste. I mean, girl, we knew. But no, he genuinely cannot taste anything. He hates eating. He says he supposes lemons are his favorite foods, but he lost his ability to taste a long time ago. Roddy is shocked that a chef, of all people, doesn't have the ability to taste, but it would explain why his food tastes so off. Many critics of the bistro's cooking agree with Roddy on one thing. Vince's food lacks love, with Roddy also believing it tastes too self-absorbed and narcissistic. This is all important to the discussion, I promise, so please remember this. On one of the nights, you will be able to go into Vince's office and snoop around, seeing the newspapers with reviews for the bistro almost obsessively crossed out. You will also notice a crumpled up photo of Manon and Vince in his trash can, along with some crumpled up love letters. Roddy is shaken by this because why does his boss have a picture of him with his ex-girlfriend, the love of Roddy's life? Vince soon invites Roddy over to his place to cater a dinner party Vince is having with his shitty elitist friends. Here, Roddy learns how much of a bitch Vince is, and one of the friends mentions how Vince must have taken a liking to Roddy if he would invite someone like him over. The next day, after finding the freezer key, you have a few options to get different endings. You can choose to mind your own business, get your bag, quit on the spot, and then call Manon one last time to say that you now have enough money to take her out on a special date, and she will still not respond. Or you can choose to snoop around the freezer and find Manon's broken, bloody locket in a pile of ground up meat. Needless to say, she is never called because she has been dead. Vince then finds you, knocks your ass out, and ties you in rope. If you don't have matches on you, then you won't be able to escape the ropes, and he will kill you, and you will be met with end credits, and you will earn a cooked heart on a plate. I think that's a heart. It's human. That's Roddy. He got cooked. If you do have matches equipped, you can get out of the rope bindings and escape the freezer, where Vince will find you and chase after you with a wine opener. This is where we find out the juicy stuff. Vince, as we said, has no taste. He finds the critique of his food lacking love to be ridiculous, but it could be the key to being able to taste again. After seeing Roddy's undying love for Manon, a girl Vince had really no interest in, Vince comes up with the idea of killing Manon, cooking her into a dish, and having Roddy eat it. Vince would then kill Roddy and then eat him. The plan, as I understand, was that Vince hoped he would finally be able to taste something again if he ate something that was full of love, or Roddy full of the love of his life. Vince, in a way, was looking for love. It would have been for nothing, though, since Roddy never ate anything Vince gave him. So if you get one of the bad endings where Vince kills Roddy, the player can assume that Vince will eat him and still taste nothing, finding that nothing can fix him. This is where everything, of course, falls into place. We understand why Manon never calls us back and why Vince is such a weirdo. In the game itself, it's not clear whether or not Vince is a gay man, but I'd imagine that one can be suspicious Dexter meme of him, given his complete disinterest in Manon, and also his desire to eat Roddy, a man, to feel something again, no matter the mental gymnastics it took to get there, because why are you, Vince, a grown-ass man, wanting to eat another man? If you do want a clear answer though, the creator of the game has confirmed Vince is gay while Roddy is a biphobic bisexual, and also the creator is open to any interpretation of whether or not Vincent had a crush on Roddy. The relationship between Vincent and Roddy, I believe, is much more complicated than a crush. I think Vince has been ashamed of his homosexuality, and the repression of which has ruined his life and numbed him to the point of barely living. Instead of facing these feelings, I believe Vince would rather eat a man alive than admit he is gay. This is where the meat of the video comes in. Pun intended. As I mentioned in the beginning, Dead Plate is not the only piece of fiction that explores a relationship between cannibalism and love, or queerness. Bones and All, Yellow Jackets, and Hannibal are all stories that explore these themes subtextually or very obviously. Also, hey, I said in a previous video that I had beef with Hannibal since the two main guys don't get together in the end, which technically is true, but you guys have told me that the creator has stated that they were always meant to end up together, but the show was canceled before they could be gay. So, boo for cancellations, but whoop whoop for queer media. I'm a huge fan of Hannibal now. Maybe I'll watch the show. I am not going to be going into detail with these examples. I want to focus on Dead Plate for the video, but I want you to know that if this is your sort of thing, you got more where that came from. I bring up Bones and All since the cannibals in the film can be interpreted as really any marginalized identity that gets pushed to the side in society, and the violence that occurs when society shames someone into hiding just because of who they are. This sentiment with Bones and All really inspired this video specifically on Dead Plate and how I understand Vince and his twisted cannibalistic plan within it. As a reminder, Dead Plate takes place in 1960s France, which I believe is a super important detail when we talk about Vince. According to my research, the 1940s saw a shift in discrimination acts within France against homosexuals, with the age of consent being placed at 15 years old for heterosexual people, but at 21 years old for gay people. If you were found being gay before 21, that was bad news. In 1960, an act was passed that called for doubling the charges of public indecency if it was found to be gay public indecency. It wasn't until the 1970s and 80s where progress for gay rights were made and discriminatory laws were repealed. Le Monde's article on the subject interviewed gay men who lived during this time and who detailed how dangerous it was to be gay between the age of 15 to 21, where you were at risk of being fined or even imprisoned if caught in a homosexual act, and being under 21. And the discrimination, of course, still lingered even for people past the age of 21. They were outcasts and shamed for their sexuality. The laws were unequal. So deadplate being set in 1960s France can really explain the self-hatred and repression of Vince's queerness that he would have been going through. And I do think it was a purposeful choice to set it in 1960s France. The creator has gone on to say that it is up to the player's interpretation on whether they want to see Vincent as having a crush on Roddy or not. My personal interpretation is that I don't think that Vince had a crush on Roddy, but I do think he was physically attracted to the guy, and that unwanted feeling of attraction spurred on the tragedy that unfolded. Vince says how he lost his taste a long time ago, meaning he wasn't born without the sense of taste, but that something happened for him to lose it. I think when Vince was younger, he noticed he was homosexual, and given the culture and society he was being raised in, it scared him. Vince is quiet, very reserved, quick to rudeness, and is off-putting. I don't see him as the kind of guy that processes his emotions. I think he bottled up this shame and decided to ignore it and funnel all of his effort and his attention into cooking, where he can escape the shame and the fear. He doesn't want a wife and kids because he just wants all the money and success for himself, not because, he's super uninterested in women. No. It's because he just wants the money and he just likes cooking. But how can you when you don't even like eating? He doesn't taste anything because there must be something wrong with him, not because he's ignoring a key part of himself. I think this repression of his queerness manifested physically within him, which would be losing his taste. There's not really any scientific backing to this phenomenon, at all, but I do know that if I'm extremely stressed and highly anxious for a long period of time and then I'm not anymore, I will get sick. Stress and anxiety does manifest within your body. Vincent isn't facing the underlying issue that may be causing this loss of taste. He instead focuses on his current lack of it. He sees Roddy so in love with someone, and in Vince's twisted mind, he sees Roddy as a solution to his emptiness, but the wrong kind of solution. Instead of confronting the fact that the feeling he got when looking at Roddy meant he was attracted, or maybe had a crush on him, up to you guys, he instead decided to read it in a completely different way. He still hoped Roddy would be his salvation through consumption, not through love and affection. And of course, it wouldn't have worked. He would have killed two people, made one of them eat the other, and then ate one of them, and he still would have been broken. Because the solution was never the food, it was never the taste, it was never his cooking. It was his inability to confront who he really is. There are also some really interesting details within Vincent's home that really gives us another insight into this dude's fucked up brain. I found 4 paintings within his home that were all very disturbing and just weird. One of the paintings is Saturn Devouring His Son by Goya, which I also think is the name of his bistro, translated into English. So of course this is referencing the Greek Roman mythology of the Titan Kronos, or Saturn, eating his children, which is of course cannibalism. So he just has that in his apartment. Maybe he was inspired by it. Another one that I want to point out is a painting called Saint Francis Borgia Helping a Dying Impenitent, in which when we look at it closer, it's definitely depicting an exorcism with the impenitent, slowly dying because of the demons that are feeding off of him. I think this painting in particular is also super important in understanding Vince, because now we've got some religious trauma to throw in there. I definitely think that Vince sees himself as the impenitent, with the demons surrounding him being his queer thoughts. And it's an act of this person being saved by the priest or putting an end to his suffering. There's something insane about a repressed homosexual having this painting in their house. It says a lot. He also has a painting of a burning home in his bedroom. There isn't any signature on it, so I don't really know this one, but a burning home, I mean, it's not happy imagery. It's not adding happiness to this dude's life. Also, the last painting is the untitled painting by Fri and Sat, and I found it. It's this one right here, which is showing some dead animals that are being prepared to be cooked and eaten. This painting is so disturbing to me because it's showing this beautiful scenery of like the apples and the flower in the corner, but juxtaposed with the very violent display of the dead deer. I think that's a deer. It's not like it's laid out in a casual way. It's being hung in a very distressing, violent way. Maybe Vince sees himself like that and he's trying to hide the ugliness of the death with the flowers. I definitely think that these paintings all contribute to my interpretation of his repressed homosexuality and the violence, because all of these paintings are very violent, and I think that there's a lot of internal hatred within him and he's not happy, and this we knew. Cannibalism in fiction can represent like so much. It can represent the sometimes obsessive, all-consuming feeling that loving another person can feel like, or it can represent the rather violent act of giving your entire heart and being to another person who can do what they please with it. That person can choose to cherish it or rip your heart apart like a cannibal. Shout out to Cannibal by Tally Hall, that sentence, period. But in this case, I really enjoyed how the devs used cannibalism within Vince's story. I think Vince's cannibalism, or his desire to want to eat Roddy, showcases the pain and violence that occurs when someone is forced to hide who they really are. Albeit this is in the most extreme way possible of representing that, but it's still tea. Queer people were not able to love one another. They were not able to live fully during his time and era. And when a part of your identity is stripped away without your consent and you have to hate it, you can feel hollow. You can feel numb and dull. You lose the happiness and the sense of security that comes with figuring out who you are. It's almost like losing a part of your humanity, which happened to my buddy Vince. He lost his humanity, and it made him an animal, ripping off Roddy's ear as he saw Roddy try to escape. He wanted to taste it again. He wanted to taste life again, but Vince would only ever be free if he confronted who he really was, which, of course, wasn't an option at the time. Instead of trying to win Roddy's heart, he decided it would go better on a silver platter. That's the real horror in this game, I think. It's not the weird, wet, ripping sounds you hear in the middle of the night, and it's not Vincent's bloodshot eyes jump scaring you when you look through a hole in a wall. It's the all too common occurrence of a queer person being eaten alive from the inside out due to repressing who they are. It's the violence that we inflict on one another and the humanity we lose because of it. Hey, so I'm a liar. I may have slayed too hard. After filming, I actually did find a Tumblr ask from the creator, Rachel Draws This, about the state of her queer characters, and she stated that the characters were always meant to be queer in some way, shape, or form, but she did not write the rest of the story with their queerness in mind. So everything that I just said about the time and location being important and maybe a purposeful decision for Vince's story, and maybe even like the entire interpretation that Vince's cannibalism is a result of his repressed homosexual shame, all of that has technically been disproven by the creator. Technically, like, making the game's story a commentary on queerness was not the intention from what I understand from the creator's POV. My bad. I guess I was wrong, but I still really enjoy this reading that I have overthought my way into. Like, I just really like that maybe this was cannibalism as a way to show repressed homosexuality. I mean, I still kind of like that idea. But just know that this is my interpretation, and that the creator most likely does not agree with it or did not think about this at all when creating the game. So do with that information as you will. I still like the video that I made, and I still enjoy my headcanon. So this is just sharing my headcanon with you. So yes, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Yeah, I was like, oh, me when I overthink too much. Okay, that's it, bye. So I'd like to ask you a question. Do you fuck with cannibalism like this in media and like fiction? I don't like cannibalism as a concept because it really grosses me out, honestly, but I really do like it as like a metaphor for deeper feelings like this. I love what Investigrave did with cannibalism within Vince. Like I love it. Like I think they did such a good job and it was delicious, pun intended. So let me know down below if you agree with me or not. Again, go play the game. The link is in the description down below. If you would like to play, I highly recommend it. It is super short and you'll be helping out the devs, and it is not perfect by any means. I definitely have some criticisms with it for sure, but it was one of their earlier games and they're freaking eating. So let me know if you would like us to play more of their games on stream and if we should do more videos on their games, because I heard that their other games are freaking amazing and I would love to check them out with you guys. It would mean the world if you would like and subscribe on this ooky spooky squelchy video. A like, a comment, and a subscribe go a long way, and YouTube is being really weird right now with views, especially from desktop users, so any interaction with the video will honestly like help us a lot with this weird situation that YouTube is not handling. If you would like to support the channel even more, then please consider becoming a member on the Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/easocial, where for just $5 a month, you'll be able to see videos like these super duper early and to get a shout out at the end of every single video. So take it away, future me, to thank our amazing Ko-fi members. So an extra special thank you to Alien Eyes, Jonah, Lewandrill, Joanne, Summers, Blue Ink Alchemist, Pauline, Shalami, Onyxide, Atticus, IAK, Pierre Burner, Waxwing, Bus Driver, Wokapi, Blurry, Klee, Pandus Bombus, Decals, Kiara, Tronilla, Moe, Zilfer, Luel, Tarek, Dactyl, Mystic Foxfire, Jessica C, Jingle, Mitsuji, Dana, Blue Swanson, Juno, Twixie, A, Bella, Evie Iloris, let me know if I'm saying that right, Aries, and an extra special thank you to Topa. Thank you guys so very much for being here and for supporting the channel. It really means a lot, especially when YouTube's being so freaking weird and crazy right now. So it really means the world. So thank you guys for being here, and I hope you are enjoying this video early. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be streaming more often here on YouTube and on Twitch, twitch.tv/easocial. So definitely keep an eye out for when we're going to be going live. It's so much fun, and I loved playing Dead Plate on stream with you guys. It was so much fun. So definitely come join us. And if you would like to connect even more, then you can follow me on my socials. I am easocial everywhere except for Twitter. I have a blue sky. Okay, well, that is it from me. I should get something to eat. And if I don't see you on Twitch, then I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye! I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, French people.
Mon Dieu. I caught a stray again. It's not easy being French.